Well, I have to start with a confession. So actually, I pretty much tried to avoid AI in my daily work just a few years ago. I was in a company where AI wasn't natural. I even turned down an opportunity to join the AI workforce because I didn't really see the point. The first AI features we shipped were somehow, I found, sketchy. We gave it a name, and it was just on top of the product. So I, erased AI from my work. But then I joined a company where AI wasn't optional. I joined Instaffo, and in my onboarding, the Confluence page literally said, if you don't use AI, you're stupid. So you can imagine that forced me to rethink a little bit. So in my middle 30s, I was like, maybe I should not miss out on this train. And I started working with AI just a bit chaotically. So I made my first ChatGPT subscription. I started copying prompts from here to there. Then I discovered Claude. Then I discovered this and that tool. And as I mentioned, a bit chaotic. But there was also no guidelines, right? So there was no one guiding me through this. It was me trying to, make sense of it. But I realized that what I did actually didn't have any impact. So I saw, copy-pasting is not really going to help. So what I saw is that there were actually too many tools I needed to decide somehow. There was actually just very little structure around it. So somehow I thought maybe that's a point to start. And the impact didn't really click. But what I realized is that actually the problem was not AI. I realized AI was kind of the superpower I was hoping for, but the shallow integration into company processes was actually what was, slamming on the brakes. So what I tried to do is find structures and workflows that would actually benefit from AI that I can, start implementing. And because it's like a small company, like a startup, no one said, oh no, you can't do it. But everyone was like, okay, just go ahead. So today, what I want to show you is 3 AI workflows that work for me at Instaffo that we use every day. And I actually, want to show you how I implemented it, what problems I had with them before, and hopefully there's something in it for you that you can do in your own companies, or you can take as an inspiration. So 3 real workflows. The first one is how to improve product releases with better communication from the start. This is a topic I'm quite passionate about, you might hear. The third topic is to share insights across the team with AI. And the third topic is going into the direction of prototyping. I already saw the lovable logo like 3 times today, so you will also see it again. But there's a twist to it. Well, how do I start? In product management, from my perspective, it's very important that we are pretty clear on what problem we want to solve, and that we are pretty clear on, how we think we can best solve this problem. There's a lot of stuff happening before you even start writing down something. So you talk to users, you think about, what could be their pain points, you try to, make your assumptions, and so on. But at one point, you're pretty sure, okay, if we build into this direction, if we build this feature, we might be able to, help with this pain point. We might be able to achieve the outcome we want to achieve, right? So there's, in German we say, der Fisch stinkt vom Kopf. Fish stinks from the head. I think this might be a proper translation. And that's very true for product management as well. So some say shit in, shit out. I say this. So whatever you write down, you basically put on paper. This will be transported throughout the whole life cycle of the product until the product release and beyond that. So if what you produce at the very beginning is not excellent, then your outcome also won't be. So I identified this as one step where AI can actually help me. I realized that like most releases fail at this starting point because usually when product managers write their tickets, their feature requests, their PRDs, their epics, whatever, they write down what's in their head, but humans are lazy. So things that are obvious, like I don't have to write this, it's pretty clear, obvious to me, but not obvious to anyone who reads this. So if I spare out the things that are obvious because I'm lazy, I actually I lose quality. So if the problem framing is not clear in what I want to solve, so it's not 100% clear what the problem is, it's also hard for everyone else to understand what problem are we actually solving. And the expectation of the feature that we're going to release and the impact of it should be shared across the company. And usually this happens in some presentation with the management, but from my experience, it's 100% good if you share this with everyone in this one document that you create. And then you have the problem that you sometimes might lose the context if the feature is being released and stuff. But what does it mean for me? When I joined Instaffo, I saw, oh, great, they have a template, how I can create this. It's markdown format, and I was very motivated. And then after the third feature request, I realized this is taking me hours and hours because I actually have to write down everything that's in my head. So of course, started to rip it down and be a bit more efficient, save some time, but quality decreased. So I try to use AI for this, and this workflow, has been working for me for 1 year. So what did I do? I created a custom GPT. That's nothing new. I assume a lot of people already did it. We can ask, who has created an own custom GPT with ChatGPT or something similar? I see let's say 40 people. Okay, so it's at least news for some of us. So the custom GPT, you can lower your hand now. The custom GPT is basically a framing of how the ChatGPT should work. And I gave it the instruction to be an exceptional product manager, experienced product manager, preparing for the sprint. And I gave it this template, this nitty-gritty markdown template from GitLab, from our GitLab template. And I gave it the wiki how to create GitLab markdown. So the nerdy stuff I don't want to deal with every day. And then I took it as an assistant. So what I did is, after I've decided on a solution with my team, I started to discuss with ChatGPT or explain to ChatGPT why we're building this, what we're actually building, and how the user journey exactly looked like. So what I would do is I would pull up Figma or Miro or whatever, and I would go through it slide by slide, screen by screen, and say, as a user, I do this, I do that, and so on. So I give it the most context I can do, and this usually takes let's say 5-minute voice note. I hit enter, and then I get a very good output, actually, because the context I gave it is already pretty good. And then I think one of the most important parts here, referring to Arne's talk, is I wouldn't copy-paste this because it's obviously there can be mistakes in it. So I take the time I saved, or some of it, and I pull it up on a big screen, the whole text, and I just read through it, and I make corrections. And in my experience, this really results in a very, very good feature brief that I can refine with the team. And the twist to it, this is how nitty-gritty it looks in GitLab, actually. The twist I find very cool is that I can now take this text and I can create the changelog from it. I can create the feature documentation from it. I can even share it with the marketing team or with our sales team so they can create their content from it. And in opposite to what I was experiencing before it, people don't come up with why we built this feature. Everyone's clear on why we're building this feature. As the product manager, user interviews are basically one of the most important sources of input, at least in B2B, because it's hard to quantify if you're only dealing with enterprises and businesses. So I try to talk to customers regularly, several times a week. I have a little workflow in place that every user gets an email, and I invite them personally to a talk. So I have 2 to 3 interviews in my calendar every week without, doing anything. So I really enjoy these customer calls. It's more like a talk. I don't have a questionnaire or so, but I try to uncover opportunities in it. I try to uncover the pain points they have, and I also try to talk about the things that we are actively working on right now. The challenge is that these talks are basically like they live in my head. They also live on a Miro board, as you can see, and they are very scattered notes. And sharing them with the team is actually hard work because I would have to take some time and write summaries and maybe talk to the team and book a meeting and all that jazz. But it's very hard also because these talks are in German, right? And my users are actually recruiters, so they like to talk in German more than in English. So I actually have to transport also the nuances somehow to the team so that they really know what the problems of our users are. What I found very interesting is doing this in a time-efficient way. So what I usually do is, again, custom GPT that knows the job. So you're your product manager on discovery, and you want to, find out the best opportunities. And I give it my notes as well. But then, the result is basically a long text. I, save it in Confluence. I can read it again, but I cannot expect anyone on the team to take like 2 hours a week to just read through my, transcripts and summaries. So I searched for a way how I can better share these insights and also transport these nuances in the languages we all speak. Like for us, it's English. So my product designer is from Brazil. My tech lead is from Vietnam, so we have to align on English. So for me, it was very cool when I discovered Notebook LM. Some of you might know it. So I can just drop in the transcripts and the summaries that I've created from the interviews. What I also do is I like to add some more context. For example, the challenges we are working on right now. And Notebook LM, a tool by Google, lets me actually search through it. But the cool thing is actually this little play button here. So it generates a podcast-style audio where 2 hosts are discussing the topic and explaining it to each other, which you can use for anything, also for learning and so on. But especially for user interviews, it pulls like quotes from the user interviews that match what we are interested in. And this is typically around like 20 to 30 minutes. Downloading, adding to Slack, and then you already saved some time. It really helped that our team, the designer, the tech leads, understand our challenges, understand the challenges of the user, and are more involved in what we are building. So I can really recommend. The last topic I want to talk about is prototyping, and I promised you will see the lovable logo. Back in the days, prototyping was something. It would take a lot of time, right? So you needed a product designer, you need to lay out the journey, it needs to be designed days or weeks, right? So you share it with the user, make a screen share. It's something you would do, but not every day. Nowadays, it's obviously a bit different. You have lovable, bold, Replit v0. You can go from prompt to your prototype in minutes. And it's getting faster every day. We saw Sonnet 4.5 dropping the other day, so it evolves every day. And the speed is great, obviously, until it isn't. Because these prototypes you get from these tools, they all look the same. I don't know if you noticed, but the bold prototypes, they all have the same feeling. It's a bit like with these images from AI, you can spot them immediately, right? And the problem that I discovered in the user interviews or the testing I did is that people more focus on the surface, the look and feel of it, rather than click on the idea. I couldn't really get to the bottom of the idea. So I thought, okay, we can do it, but in all of this, I don't want to sacrifice the clarity of the prototype. I really want people to, think this is already in the product, so they can give me real feedback, what they would actually do and not what they think they would do. So there's 2 examples I want to share with it. All of this is around like the challenge we are currently having at Instaffo as a recruiting marketplace to make it easier for recruiters to screen applications. And this one example is like a generic prototype where you screen an application and you can go back and forth. But I wanted to do it in our design language. So that's one of the things I went out to do. And I found there are like two things that worked for me a while ago. It changed, obviously, a little bit in the meantime. But I still want to design fast, and also I want to test fast, obviously. So what made a difference for me is using the prototyping tool with the design tokens, for example, from Figma. So the example on top is Bold with the design from Lovable. Meanwhile, they have a real integration with Figma. And the result was okay, as you can see. So it took some colors, it took the fonts and so on. So it was more realistic, but it wasn't perfect. And what really made the difference for me is a tool like Magic Patterns. That's the animation you see, where you're actually able to create little components with that prototyping tool and reuse them later on. So I would first prompt the main navigation of the tool, like kind of rebuild it, and then I can reuse it in the prompt with an add mention easily. So that's very helpful. Let's go back one step. So what's the difference here? So yeah, you can use Lovable and Bold, and you should, obviously. But you should really also take a step back on clarity, what you actually want to build. So one thing is the looks I just talked about, but the other thing is how you approach these prototypes. Because the prompt you put in, or the thought you put in, should come from research and product discovery. You should still be sure on why are we doing this? Like, what problems do users really have? And how do we think we can solve them? And then the prototype is your way to test your assumption. I think people will use the back and forth button. I think people will use this and that. So therefore, prototypes are very good. And then one last example, the animation you see is like a global search here. And for me, it's a perfect example of how this is fast and good. Because this only appeared because one of my colleagues said, the search in our product is really bonkers. I don't like it. And then someone jumped on the train and said, yeah, we should do a global search like we have it in Notion, right? And then someone else said, me, we can do a prototype. So we did a prototype. We immediately saw how this would work on the product with Command K, open global search, type a name, find someone, open it. And meanwhile, the first developer started vibe coding it. A week later, of course, with thorough review, we were able to ship the feature. And this is a good example of something that would usually take weeks. So these are three examples that worked for me. Like AI as part of the integration, part of the workflows that I use that enhances my work and that lets me be better. And what really made the difference for me is that I realized when I shared the first custom GPT with the team without any explanation or onboarding, I just said, hey, this works for me. The team started adopting it. The first product manager created issues with it. We now mostly create all the bugs with it because the GPT starts asking the right questions. Hey, how can I reproduce the bug? So the quality of what we produce actually got better, and this reflects on our communication in the long tail. So my ask for you today is that if you want, and if this inspired you, pick your three, let's say, business problems or workflows that you think you can build repeatable AI systems on. And you will see that this is like a lot more sustainable than just AI chaos. So AI can become your structure in this. Obviously, personal experience, and that's also what I'm passionate about, trying out tools. As a product manager at Instaffo, I'm really hands-on. As you see, I really write my own feature requests, but I also really enjoy testing tools. And if you're interested in the slides, I'm happy to share them. And if you're interested in sharing your views, either in the Q&A later or on LinkedIn. Thank you for your attention.